Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you chose to extend a helping hand, a moment of pure, selfless aid, and yet the moment passed without a single word of thanks? Perhaps no one around you even registered the effort, or perhaps they simply didn't care to notice the sacrifice you were making. It's easy to feel insignificant when your genuine goodness goes unacknowledged by the world, but here is the undeniable truth: heaven watched. Every detail of that silent act of grace was recorded, and the subsequent chapters of your life are about to prove that God was paying absolute attention to the kindness you displayed in isolation. Life often places us on those particular pathways, those hidden junctions where genuine character is forged away from the spotlight. You stepped up to offer support in a space that demanded it, but where no audience was present for applause, no witnesses existed to validate your actions, and no one was there to confirm that your contribution was meaningful. You courageously advanced while the crowd retreated, choosing to extend comfort and assistance when others made the easy choice to look away from the very real pain right in front of them. This path of selfless giving always requires a cost, sometimes demanding your precious time, significant mental energy, or a piece of your own emotional strength that you probably needed for yourself just as much. Yet, despite the personal toll, you gave freely anyway. You chose to be the leverage that lifted someone who possessed absolutely nothing to offer you in return, no repayment, no favor. You consciously positioned yourself to fill the breach and stand in the gap, even when the path of least resistance was simply to turn around and walk away without a second thought. And though the bustling world carried on as if your intervention had never taken place, the spiritual realm, the archives of heaven, captured and logged every specific detail. God observed the precise second your heart prioritized compassion above personal convenience. He was witness to the silent, internal struggle you faced, and he saw the moment you chose kindness regardless of the difficulty. When a chosen person operates with that level of unblemished integrity, a profound shift immediately occurs within the spiritual dimension. This message is designed to fully illuminate what genuinely unfolds when you step up to help in those very moments of necessity when everyone else has declined to act. Because a selfless action is never allowed to hang suspended and forgotten in the silence by God. There is a sacred, divine reward already taking shape, a purposeful consequence originating directly from heaven itself, and it is undeniably accelerating on a trajectory straight toward you. Pay extremely close attention to the unfolding circumstances, because what you are about to experience next is not an arbitrary event. It is a calculated response to your devotion. Action prompt. Before we delve deeper into this truth, please tap the like button to help ensure this message reaches others who need to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and type 99 in the comments below. The number 99 is a symbolic reminder from heaven that absolutely nothing you have done in secret has ever been overlooked or unseen. There is a specific form of personal sacrifice that never registers an audible ripple on the human-centric earth, yet it resonates and vibrates the very corridors of heaven itself. This is the offering you make when no one's gaze is on you, when no one steps forward to offer you praise, and when no one even fully comprehends the extent of your involvement. You have surely navigated seasons where your own spirit felt entirely drained, where your innermost feelings were stretched to their absolute limit, yet an unwavering inner compulsion whispered, "Proceed anyway, offer your help." That inner guidance was not a sign of naivety or emotional weakness. It was obedience, a profound, unvarnished compliance flowing from a core that resolutely refuses to be hardened by the world's chronic indifference and callousness. And that kind of pure obedience instigates something truly powerful and extraordinary in the invisible realm of the spirit. When you choose to provide assistance without seeking recognition, God does much more than simply acknowledge your action. He keenly observes the reason behind your action. He discerns the sincere intention fueling the gesture, the depth of compassion motivating the work, and the silent love embedded within the sacrifice. He sees that you were utterly exhausted, yet you still showed up. He sees that you are personally suffering, yet you steadfastly elected to show kindness. He sees that you received no external backing, yet you willingly stepped into the conflict alone. This is precisely why heaven processes your quietude in a dramatically different way than the world does. The conventional world tends to reward noise and self-promotion. Heaven, however, rewards truth and authenticity, while other individuals may offer help because they are seeking validation or social credit. You assisted because it was intrinsically the correct moral action, even though it cost you something significant that you never spoke about out loud. This level of purity immediately transforms into a potent spiritual seed. And unlike physical seeds that can perish in the soil, heavenly seeds are indestructible. They immediately begin growing in dimensions that you cannot yet perceive, constructing future testimonies you haven't lived through yet, and generating specific outcomes you never explicitly requested but desperately needed for your journey. Here is a critical truth that most people around you completely fail to grasp. Every silent act of service you performed has been meticulously catalogued and presented as evidence before the divine throne. This is not evidence of flawless perfection, but undeniable proof of your heart's orientation. It serves as evidence that you are fundamentally trustworthy, evidence that your compassion is not a facade, but the genuine texture of your nature. There are specific rewards allocated exclusively to people who consistently do the right thing, particularly when no one else is stepping up to the challenge. These forthcoming rewards have no connection whatsoever to random luck or fortunate coincidence. They are being released because heaven witnessed you giving from a place that was already emotionally or physically empty. They are arriving because heaven saw you deliberately shoulder burdens that were not inherently yours to carry. They are manifesting because heaven recorded the precise instant you elected to be a source of light in a situation where everyone else decided to simply disappear. And now, you can sense the profound change occurring. You might not yet possess the precise vocabulary to articulate it, but the feeling is unmistakable. But listen carefully now, because in the moments ahead, you are going to gain a clear understanding of why your silent sacrifices are starting to necessitate a loud response from heaven itself. Something truly monumental is approaching your life, and it carries your name written upon it. The essential question you must now confront is this: are you truly ready to witness the abundance that your unseen obedience is about to unlock for you? There are episodes in your history when genuine danger narrowly missed you so discreetly that you never realized how perilously close it came to impact. Think of moments when a situation should have resulted in disaster, yet it mysteriously resolved without consequence. Recall times when you felt an inexplicable urge to reduce speed, take an alternate route, leave a location much earlier than planned, or simply stay home without any logical reason. These were not mere coincidences. They were not lucky breaks or simple chance. They were interventions, silent, perfectly timed, and definitively supernatural protective operations. And here is the element that remains elusive to most people. Not every instance of protection you receive is a direct result of a prayer you offered. Some levels of protection are deployed and assigned because your very character has earned them. You showed up for someone when the effortless choice was to ignore their plight. You defended an individual who was unable to speak up for themselves. You contributed resources to someone who was completely incapable of reciprocating your generosity. You chose to enter someone else's turbulent storm, even as your own emotional well-being was utterly exhausted. And in response, heaven acted in a manner that remains untraceable by the human eye. When an individual operates from a place of unadulterated compassion, it inevitably triggers a movement within the invisible spiritual atmosphere. Angels are assigned not because you were pleading or begging for help, but because you evolved into the type of person God can consistently rely on to handle divine assistance. Helping the vulnerable instantly activates a spiritual principle. When you actively protect the weak, heaven protects you. When you consciously become a reliable sanctuary for someone else, heaven in turn becomes an impenetrable fortress for your own life. You were likely unaware of it at the time, but every moment you acted purely from love-generated ripples that extended across multiple dimensions. And those specific ripples effectively summoned angelic forces to take their stand directly at your side. This is the spiritual reason why certain targeted betrayals never successfully landed on you. This is why particular enemies spent time planning things that mysteriously never materialized. This is why certain attacks felt like they should have devastated you, yet they inexplicably deflected off, as if striking an invisible shield protecting you. Angelic protection often manifests in ways that make it seem as though nothing significant happened today. But the profound truth is that something attempted to happen and was decisively prevented from succeeding. There are accidents that you never personally experienced because an angel positioned itself between you and the potential impact. There are people who actively intended to inflict harm on you, but suddenly found themselves stripped of the means, the motivation, or the opportunity. There are spiritual assaults that were completely neutralized before they could even land a blow. And this triumph was not achieved because you were strong enough to effectively fight them off. Heaven fought for you. The most significant aspect of this reality is that you were likely unaware it was even occurring. The protection was so expertly discreet, so impeccably timed, that it felt as if your life simply continued its normal course. But your life continued its smooth trajectory only because unseen. Powerful hands were consistently diverting potential danger away from your intended path. Helping in silence didn't just sow seeds of future blessing. It activated spiritual alliances. It positioned divine guardians around your journey. It officially marked you as a person heaven would steadfastly defend with calculated precision and immediate urgency. And now, an even deeper, more profound truth is beginning to surface. Because when God commissions angels to act following a sacrifice, He does not withdraw them hastily. They remain, accompanying you into upcoming seasons of your life. They carry specific, tailored instructions designed to unlock resources and opportunities you don't even realize you will require yet. But what happens when this continuous protection evolves into something far greater than a mere shield? What happens when it becomes something that not only guards you, but also exposes the hidden realities and intentions that were subtly surrounding you all along? You are about to discover why the upcoming shift in your life is not merely a protective action. It is a revelation designed to clarify your surroundings. There arrives a critical moment in the life narrative of every chosen person, when God definitively decides that it is time to meticulously remove the shadows that have been cast around you. And that transformative moment almost always immediately follows a period when you have assisted someone from a place of pure, untainted intention. You must understand this. Kindness is not only a gift you bestow, it is also a powerful tool of exposure. It reveals true character, both your own and the character of those observing you. When you made the effort to step in and offer support, heaven was not only focused on your actions, heaven was simultaneously observing everyone in your immediate vicinity. Heaven noticed who deliberately ignored what you were doing, who quietly benefited from your compassionate heart, but never offered a single word of recognition for your effort, and who completely disappeared the instant that compassion required even a shred of courage. These quiet, unstated reactions convey far more truth than 1,000 overtly spoken promises could ever deliver. Your selfless kindness became a potent divine spotlight that instantaneously exposed the genuine motives and deeply hidden loyalties of the individuals who populate your life. Some were content to merely observe your assistance because it conveniently served their own purposes. Others remained silent because your obvious goodness made them deeply uncomfortable or challenged their apathy. And a few actively withdrew entirely because the light emanating from your actions implicitly threatened the darkness or complacency they were comfortable hiding behind. God witnessed the entirety of this dynamic. And when God witnesses, God acts. After you extend help to someone in private, God immediately initiates a spiritual sorting process around your life. This invisible separation actively removes individuals who are only present to drain your energy, only take from your resources, or only cling to you for what you can provide, rather than for the intrinsic value of who you are. Their subsequent absence from your life is not a form of rejection. It is, in fact, a targeted protection. Their growing distance is not a true loss. It is a highly effective divine strategy designed to clear your path. This is the reason why certain friendships suddenly feel burdened, some forced or oddly disconnected. This is why some connections that once felt intimate and familiar now feel unclear and remote. You are not the one consciously pulling away from them. Heaven is actively pulling you forward. God understands that in the new season you are entering, you cannot carry the burden of relationships that are fundamentally built on chronic imbalance. You cannot afford to take people with you who immediately falter and crumble every time life requires them to stand with you in solidarity. You cannot bring along those who are quick to applaud your moments of strength, but immediately vanish the second you require genuine support. Therefore, He exposes their true nature, not to inflict pain upon you, but to completely liberate you. And here is a surprising twist that most people simply don't anticipate. The exposure of these misplaced loyalties doesn't always arrive through a dramatic, overt betrayal. Sometimes it manifests through the silence of their inaction, through the palpable absence of any loyalty, through the specific moments when they absolutely should have been present, but chose instead not to be. Sometimes God reveals true intentions by simply allowing people to show you exactly who they are when you make the conscious choice to expect absolutely nothing from them. And He orchestrates this revelation immediately after you offer help to someone else, because that specific moment makes the contrast between your heart and theirs utterly undeniable. Your heart shines brightly. Theirs reveals its structural cracks. Your generosity clearly rises to the surface. Their indifference becomes deafeningly loud. And once your eyes have been opened to this reality, you will never be able to unsee it. God is purposefully rearranging your inner circle so that your ultimate destiny does not suffocate under the cumulative weight of the wrong people. He is purposefully lightening your path so that your core purpose has the necessary room and space to flourish and grow. And as this purposeful separation actively unfolds, another spiritual truth begins to powerfully emerge. Something deeper, more precise, and far more personal to your journey. Because once God effectively exposes who should not be walking with you, He begins the preparation to reveal something even more astonishing. The hidden blessings that were strategically delayed precisely because of the wrong people who were formerly attached to your life. And what is coming next will finally make the entire journey make perfect sense. There exists an unwavering law within the spiritual realm that no human authority can alter, interrupt, or cancel. Whatever a chosen individual releases into the world from a pure and unselfish heart will always, without fail, return to them in multiplied abundance. But here is the central mystery, the element that most people never see coming. The subsequent harvest rarely bears a resemblance to the original seed you planted. You didn't just offer assistance to someone, you intentionally planted a spiritual seed. You effectively planted compassion where you encountered despair. You planted your consistent presence where you found abandonment. You poured your strength into an individual who was perilously close to giving up entirely. And heaven simply never permits a seed of that intrinsic value to perish and be forgotten in the soil of the earth. But this is where the powerful divine twist truly occurs. God does not return blessings to you in the exact same form that you offered them. He returns them in the precise form that you need for your next season, not necessarily the form you were anticipating. Perhaps you poured into someone emotionally, believing that single act would simply restore peace to their life. But heaven assessed your heart and declared, because you chose to minister to someone else's spirit, I will now comprehensively stabilize your own financial standing. You may have sacrificed precious time, time you truly didn't possess, time you could have used for necessary rest, time you could have invested solely in yourself. And instead of receiving immediate free time back, you will now begin to experience divine acceleration. Obstacles that logically should have required years to overcome will begin to dissolve in mere months. Opportunities that should have demanded intricate connections will suddenly find you effortlessly. You bore the weight, the suffering, the fear, and the chaos of someone else's storm. And rather than being given another burden, God will begin sending people who will reliably show up for you in ways you have never previously experienced. People who are praying on your behalf without ever needing to tell you. People who are strongly advocating for your interests in decision-making rooms you have never even entered. People who are proactively speaking your name into opportunities you were not even aware existed. This happens because heaven never returns an added burden for a burden you carried. Heaven returns reinforcement and strategic support. But the most profound element of this spiritual law is how incredibly subtle the entire process feels in its initial stages. You likely won't even realize you are actively being blessed until you suddenly notice that daily tasks that used to completely drain you are now becoming noticeably easier and lighter to manage. You won't recognize that your seed is fully sprouting until a deep sense of peace starts to permeate the very areas of your life where you used to feel constant stress and debilitating pressure. You will not realize that heaven has effectively multiplied your original offering until you look backward and recognize that you are currently living in the midst of answered prayers that you never even remembered to pray. God will deliberately bless you in the sensitive areas where you secretly struggled, in the hidden spaces of your life that you never admitted were hurting, in the ambitious dreams that you believed were far beyond your grasp, because your quiet kindness did not vanish into a vacuum. It was purposefully placed into His hands. And absolutely anything that enters God's hands never returns in the same condition. The return on your investment will always carry the unmistakable signature of divine creativity, a blessing that you couldn't have possibly foreseen, a breakthrough that feels almost too perfectly timed to be categorized as a mere coincidence, a moment that forces you to pause and reflect, asking, wait, is this happening because of something selfless I did that nobody else saw? Yes, it is. And the precise timing of these blessings is never accidental or random. They appear exactly at the moment you are seamlessly transitioning into a new season of your life. This ensures that you step into that season carrying undeniable proof that heaven faithfully remembered the seed you planted. But behind this powerful return, behind this significant multiplication, there is one last great revelation taking shape. Something even more unexpected and intentionally designed to shift your entire life trajectory. Because when God chooses to bless a chosen one, He rarely concludes the action with a simple blessing. He prepares a divine unveiling, a public elevation, a reward so spectacular that it cannot possibly remain concealed from the world. And that is precisely the destination toward which your story is currently heading next. There is a precise juncture in the personal journey of every chosen individual when heaven authoritatively decides that what was once kept unseen must now become undeniable to the world. You have diligently spent a considerable amount of time helping without fanfare, moving with humility, giving without any expectation of return, and protecting others who were completely unaware of the tremendous weight you were shouldering for them. You operated in silence, not because you desired to be invisible, but because your heart instinctively understood that authentic love requires no external audience for validation. But God never intended for your unique story to permanently reside in the shadows of obscurity. What you executed in a private setting was never meant to remain private forever. In the spiritual realm, every quiet act of goodness possesses a distinct sound, and your sound rose so distinctly and loudly before the throne that heaven began preparing something for you that you will be utterly unable to hide, even if you desperately wished to remain unseen. There comes a specific time when God decisively chooses to elevate you publicly, not to show off your personal merit, but to transparently reveal His faithfulness to His promise. It serves as heaven's powerful declaration. This person assisted others when absolutely no one else was willing to move. Now, observe what I will accomplish for them. And when God makes the choice to truly honor you, He executes it in ways that instantly silence every question, dismantle every lingering doubt, and obliterate every underestimation that was ever levied against your character. People who once completely disregarded your quiet presence will suddenly find themselves compelled to notice your unmistakable progress. Obstacles that persistently kept doors sealed for years will begin to swing open without any resistance. Opportunities that were previously out of your league will effortlessly appear, as if they have been patiently awaiting your scheduled arrival. God's ultimate timing may sometimes feel slow to your human perspective, but when it is finally executed, it is executed with flawless precision. Your ultimate blessing will not simply whisper, it will loudly announce its arrival. Where your kindness was discreet and private, your elevation will be bold and unmistakable. And this resulting public favor is not a reward defined by human standards. It is a powerful recognition. Heaven is confirming who you authentically are. Heaven is confirming the value of what you have selflessly accomplished. Heaven is confirming that your heart was fully aligned with God's will long before anyone on earth ever took the time to truly understand you. The most astonishing element of this process is that the people surrounding you will perceive the massive shift before you fully grasp the gravity of it yourself. They will observe an unmistakable glow surrounding your life that was not there before. They will notice that your movements are becoming lighter, your spirit is becoming stronger, and your path is clearer than it has ever been. Some will undoubtedly feel inspired by your journey. Others will be genuinely confused by your sudden success. A few will feel intimidated by your advancement, but all of them will inevitably ask the same core question. Why them? And heaven's echoing answer will resonate through every blessing, every breakthrough, and every new opportunity you receive. The answer will be unmistakable, because they helped when absolutely no one else was willing to. God is actively preparing a moment where every aspect of your intricate journey aligns so perfectly that it becomes entirely impossible for anyone to deny that divine hands have been meticulously shaping and guiding your entire story. You are on the verge of stepping into a profound season where your name will be prominently mentioned in influential rooms you have never personally entered. Your valuable presence will be actively requested in decision-making spaces that once felt entirely unreachable. Your compelling testimony will travel distances far greater than your own personal effort could have ever carried it. And this forthcoming shift is not a random occurrence. It is strategically planned. It is intentional. It is heaven's unmistakable signature being explicitly written across the destiny that awaits you. But this public elevation is still only the beginning of what is planned. What God is currently preparing for you is greater than mere recognition, more significant than simple elevation, and larger than only material blessing. It is something intentionally designed to fundamentally transform not just your outward path, but your deepest identity. Something that will mark you publicly, in the same profound way your numerous acts of silent love marked you privately before the throne. And as this magnificent plan steadily unfolds, there is one final, essential truth that you absolutely must internalize. This final revelation serves to seamlessly link every single sacrifice, every instance of unseen protection, every necessary exposure, and every forthcoming blessing together into one coherent narrative. And that comprehensive revelation is patiently waiting for your full acceptance right now. There comes a distinct and powerful moment in the life of every chosen person when heaven steps forward and proclaims, now, not at some unspecified time in the distant future, not when you finally feel completely ready, but now in this very moment. As you stand here listening intently to these concluding words, a deep knowing within your spirit already confirms that this is not merely an encouraging message. It is a profound divine confirmation. Everything you have chosen to do in the shadows of silence, every instance you showed up for someone else when your own heart was completely weary, every time you uplifted an individual without harboring any expectation of return, every time you chose true compassion when personal convenience was the easier route, none of it dissolved into the air or was wasted. It rose with power, it echoed before the hosts, and it stood before the throne as living proof of your steadfast character. And heaven diligently maintained a record, not for the purpose of judging your actions, but to ultimately honor your heart, not to expose your struggles, but to dramatically elevate your platform, not to remind you of the immense personal cost, but to release the staggering, accumulated reward. Right now, in this moment, the powerful divine consequence of your quiet goodness is actively surging toward you. It is not moving slowly but steadily. It is not uncertain, but absolutely inevitable. There is a reward with your name meticulously etched upon it in a script that only God can write, and it is much closer to manifesting than you currently realize. You are about to gracefully walk through professional or relational doors that were previously locked and sealed for years. You are about to encounter people who were specifically assigned to bless and aid you long before you ever crossed their path. You are about to personally witness the exact same kind of mysterious, perfectly timed help returning to you that you once so freely gave to others unexpectedly, with surgical precision, and beautifully orchestrated by heaven itself. God is not merely preparing a single blessing for you. He is preparing a life-defining moment, a moment where everything in your life trajectory perfectly turns, a moment where every detail flawlessly aligns, a moment where the prolonged silence you walked through becomes the prominent stage for the glory that is imminently about to unfold in your life. So, lift your head high, reinforce the strength of your heart, and stand tall in the power of your spirit. Because what is rapidly approaching your life is not a minor event. It is not subtle in its nature, and it will not, under any circumstances, be mistaken for a mere coincidence. It will be the unmistakable, undeniable response of God to every quiet act, every secret prayer, and every selfless decision you courageously made when no one else was willing to step forward. If this deeply resonating message has stirred a confirmation within your spirit, if you feel heaven actively affirming what your soul already intrinsically knew to be true, then declare it publicly in the comments section to fully activate your faith and seal this word over the rest of your life. I receive my divine reward, and as those words depart from your spirit, may you instantly feel the beginning of this profound, massive shift. Strong, absolutely undeniable, and ultimately unstoppable. Would you like me to find a specific prayer or meditation based on the theme of receiving your divine reward?